Welcome to the daily English news program on Azərbaycan Television. These are your hosts, Rövşən Məmmədov, with most important events of the day. The statement of the President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, during his visit to Baku was that the two countries will remain reliable friends, shows an unequivocal and unchangeable attitude of this country and its people towards Azerbaijan. Of course, this friendship and trust are based on mutual terms. Being a reliable partner, Azerbaijan has always shown brotherly and friendly attitudes to the Belarus people and their country.
Partnerships such as Azerbaijani-Belarusian are rarely observed in diplomacy and interstate relations. No matter how historical this relationship between the two countries and peoples is, there's no doubt that the sincere friendship, mutual trust and confidence, dialogue of the heads of state play an important role in the relations. Our relations have already stood the test of time. These relations have a very good history. Throughout our relations, we have always resolved issues related to their development. There have never been any unresolved issues between us or those that would have required any operational intervention. We have clearly defined our goals, gave specific instructions to those implementing them, and monitored the implementation of the set tasks. Political experts consider the visit of President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, to Baku after the victory in the Great Patriotic War as a new manifestation of friendship between the two countries, and at the same time the growing prestige and role of Azerbaijan and President İlham in the international arena. Belarus, a strategic partner, has established good cooperation in various areas. More than 100 bilateral documents have been signed, forming the legal framework of this cooperation. Despite the difficulties caused by the pandemic, trade and export potential have increased. Azerbaijani oil is transported to Belarus via the Baku-Supsa pipeline. During the meeting, the presidents of Azerbaijan and Belarus discussed in detail the engagement of Belarusian companies in urban development, infrastructure development, agricultural development, alternative energy sources in Karabakh, as well as the experience of the friendly country in creating agro-towns. We have, of course, talked about trade and economic cooperation and the transition to a higher stage of cooperation, joint ventures, technology transfer and the establishment of industries that Azerbaijan needs, but traditionally did not have in Soviet times and does not have now. We are ready to establish enterprises here and create them together, especially in the territories that have been liberated and which will need to be restored. One of the largest projects implemented by Belarus in Azerbaijan is the Ganja automobile plant. After the assembly of Belarusian tractors in our country, the production of cars, trucks, combine harvesters, buses and electric buses within the concept of Green Karabakh Zone promises great prospects for economic cooperation. Thus, the enhancement of Azerbaijan-Belarus cooperation to a new level forms new views on the future development of the region.
The independent Azerbaijani state, which in 44 days put an end to the 30-year occupation and restored territorial integrity, along with creating new realities in the region, strengthens its international image. Under the leadership of the victorious Supreme Commander-in-Chief, President İlham, the victory won in the Karabakh War, as well as the fundamental steps taken by official Baku in the post-conflict period, forced the anti-Azerbaijani and pro-Armenian forces to utilize all their resources.
The new geostrategic realities formed by the historical victory in the patriotic war in favor of Azerbaijan today seriously disturb the anti-Azerbaijani centers and the Armenian lobby. They are trying not only to turn these realities against our country, limit themselves to building game scenarios around the baseless claims of the losing Armenia and the dream of Karabakh independence, but also strive by creating chaos in Azerbaijan to damage its international image. To do this, they again turn to the corrupt and always open for sale forces residing inside and in some European countries for help. To those forces that at one time, or rather during the First Karabakh War, in the name of coming to power, so to speak, blessed the occupation of our lands. The defense minister at the time was their man. He promised that if Shusha was surrendered, he would shoot himself in the forehead. He's still hanging around here and there like a dog. Power was actually concentrated in the hands of the Popular Front Musavat tandem. Having surrendered Shusha and Lachin to the Armenians, they tried to overthrow the government in Baku, and they succeeded. A month later, they staged a military coup, seized the parliament building, overthrew the legitimate government, and illegally came to power. It's a great betrayal on their part. As President İlham said at the opening of the military trophy park, the power-hungry traitors of the nation, surrendering Shusha and Lachin to the enemy, committed a grave crime, and after coming to power, having plundered all the wealth in 1 year, led the republic to disaster. The people will never forgive the biggest historical betrayal to those who sold gasoline to the Armenians while the battles for Karabakh were underway. This is the true face of the power of the Popular Front Musavat. These are serious crimes, and despite the fact that almost 30 years have passed, those who committed these crimes do not take responsibility for it. On the contrary, instead of attacking at the enemy front in due time, they try to present the attack in the Milli Məclis as historical necessity. We were losing lands. The Armenians were capturing our villages while they were fighting against Aydaraliyev and Nakhchivan. This is the act of betrayal by traitors from the Popular Front Musavat. But they were afraid and did not even dare to show their nose there because the people got up and said that they would be crushed as soon as they appeared there. They unleashed a civil war, bombed Ganjar and captured Azerbaijani soldiers while our lands were under occupation. What is this if not treason? These facts are worse than betrayal. During the 44-day war, Armenian officers showed an example of capturing a soldier by their attitude to ordinary soldiers. That is, from the point of view of ideology and philosophy of governance, there is no serious difference between the Popular Front Musavat tandem, which recently called Pashinyan a Democrat, and the current Armenian revenge seekers and the government of Yerevan. In 2003, the scum of the Popular Front Musavat tandem attempted a military coup in Azadlıq Square, but it did not work because the people did not support it. In 2005, they tried to organize an orange revolution in Azerbaijan. They even tied orange ribbons around their heads. Orange tents were delivered to the country. What was their goal? They wanted to bring traitors to power, hand over Karabakh to the Armenians, and lead Azerbaijan. All this remained in the past, and in fact the lands given by the traitorous nationalists to the enemy in the First Karabakh War under the command of the victorious Supreme Commander-in-Chief were returned within 44 days by the mighty Azerbaijani army. Having completely lost their political ideology and convictions, these forces today, under the influence of certain Western circles, are striving to use all means to create chaos in the country, to hurt the most sensitive things and the spirit of victory of our people. However, those who built their plans for a happy future on the suffering of their people are thrown into the dustbin of history. Even those who patronize the treacherous elements, whose views, morals and methods of struggle have not changed over the past 30 years, will not be able to prevent this process.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs commented on the latest statement of the OEC Minsk Group co-chairs. Head of the press service of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Leyla Abdullaeva, stressed that the co-chairs welcomed the progress made by the leaders of Azerbaijan, Russia and Armenia in implementing the joint statement of November 10, 2020. Quote, "At the same time, it should be noted that most parts of the co-chair's statement did not focus on the most important issues for the new post-conflict period, but rather on a number of other ideas and elements. The position of the Azerbaijani side in the reality created as a result of the victory in the patriotic war is clear. The constitutional order of the Republic of Azerbaijan includes ensuring the equality of all Azerbaijani citizens residing in those territories, including those of Armenian descent, regardless of ethnic and religious or any other affiliation. At the same time, resolution of the conflict creates a perspective for building normal relations based on the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity and inviolability of internationally recognized borders between Azerbaijan and Armenia. We hope that in accordance with the call of the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, co-chairs will determine and present their proposals regarding their possible roles in the direction of strengthening peace in a new situation," said the Foreign Ministry official. April 15th is a commemoration day of the prominent ophthalmologist, academician Zarifa Aliyeva. She is immortalized in memory as a wonderful scientist, caring person, a working intellectual and a faithful companion of life, and a wonderful mother. Doctor of Medical Science, Professor, Honored Scientist, Academician Zarifa Aziz Kızı Aliyeva, one of the outstanding Azerbaijani women and scientists of the 20th century. She was not from an ordinary family. Zarifa Aliyeva was born on April 28, 1923, in the Shakhtakhti village of Sharo region of Nakhchivan, in the family of a prominent scientist, statesman Aziz Aliyev. Her love for her father also determined her choice of profession. Zarifa Aliyeva studied at the Azerbaycan Medical Institute, then in Moscow. She successfully continued her father's path, who selflessly fought against malaria and trachoma. Then she got into studying the pathology of visual organs. For the first time, Zarifa Aliyeva researched the prevention of eye diseases in various industries, created the first research laboratory, laid the foundation for professional ophthalmology. In 1981, academician Zarifa Aliyeva was awarded with the highest award in the field of ophthalmology, the prize named after M.E. Amerbach of the USSR Academy of Medical Sciences. She was the first female scientist to receive this award in the Soviet Union. Foreign colleagues called her the Pearl of Ophthalmology. In 1977, Zarifa Aliyeva was elected as professor of the Department of Ophthalmology of the Azerbaijan Institute for Advanced Training of Doctors, named after Aziz Aliyev. In 1982, the head of the department. In 1983, academician of the Academy of Sciences of Azerbaijan. Her scientific and pedagogical activity had a strong influence on the education of a new generation of doctors, and the rich scientific heritage is a valuable source that does not lose its relevance today. Being engaged in productive work and as a prominent public figure, Zarifa Aliyeva was a member of the Peace Protection Committee of Foreign USSR, deputy chairperson of the Azerbaijan Peace Protection Committee. Zarifa Aliyeva left an undeniable mark on the memory of people. Professor N.B. Shulpina said, "We loved her, we love her, and we will love her until the end of our lives." However, she was loved by another man, but with a completely different love. She was the love of Heydar Aliyev, who later became the national leader. To walk together through life with such a great personality as Heydar Aliyev was a delight for Zarifa Aliyeva as a woman. She herself gave him happiness, for Heydar Aliyev's serenity was to be next to a tender woman who was very attached to her family. Every morning, without any worries, he went to work where he made vital decisions for the future of Azerbaijan and its people.
Böyük bir insanıdır. Sədaqətli həyat yoldaşı, çox mehriban, sədaqətli ana, mənim ailəmi, mənim uşaqlarımı, mənim nəvələrimi yaşadan, böyüdən bir fədakar insan kimi qəlbində yaşayır.
Motherhood was the pinnacle of her life, complementing her feminine beauty and feminine Of course, her unforgettable image is still very dear to me today. To each person, their parents, their mother is dear and sacred, and this is natural. Each person keeps in their hearts the memory of their loved ones. I am very happy that I had such a mother as Zarifa Aliyeva, said President İlham Aliyev. She taught her children to love the motherland. We have seen the results of these teachings, mother's upbringing and Azerbaijan's victory after the 30-year-long occupation. They say that great successes are the result of deeds of sons brought up by the great mothers. Allah gifted her the best happiness one could ever wish for, but her life was short, only 62 years. She passed away on April 15, 1985. are highly respected in Azerbaijan. Ambassador of Japan to our country, Junichi Wada, stated this during his visit to Sheki. The ambassador on his way to Kishi village got acquainted with the Albanian temple. He received extensive information about the history of the Christian temple from the 1st to the 5th centuries. The ambassador was also interested in other historical monuments and production facilities in Sheki.
I visited Kish Albanian temple. I was amazed at how well such an ancient temple was preserved. The ancient Christian temple was beautifully preserved by the people of Sheki. I'm very pleased with the attitude towards different religions in Azerbaijan, and I'm glad that there is such protection of ancient monuments.
2,317 infections with the novel coronavirus were registered in Azerbaijan. 2,109 people received after treatment and were released home. 36 people who earlier tested positive for COVID-19 died. The overall confirmed cases in Azerbaijan have reached 294,211 with 257,942 recoveries and 4,045 deaths. Number of active infections is 32,224. To detect new infection cases over the past day, 14,207 tests and overall 3,068,679 tests have been conducted in Azerbaijan, the task force under the Cabinet of Ministers reported. That was all for today. Thank you for being with us and see you next time.